Hello, checking in with A Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I am in the middle of the book, chapters 5 to 8, I believe 5 to 8, or tracks 31 to 64. Yes. Um, it's interesting. The book to me seems to have kind of jogged off course, or it feels like it's jogged off course because we're being all gothic, and Roderick is getting more and more unstable. He comes to him and comes to the doctor and kind of confesses about the whole kind of that there's something in the house that he's got to protect everyone from. Indeed, he feels horribly guilty about Jip biting the little girl Jillian because he said he was in the midst of a battle with whatever the presence was, but managed to force it away just at the instant that Jip got horribly startled and savagely bit the little girl. And yeah, he really believes that, and he's not sleeping, and that, the doctor Faraday goes over and tells Caroline and his mother about this. He's like Caroline. He tells Caroline about this just because, he's a danger to himself. And that night, he's really pissed about this. It's like, you broke your word. But he's also very convinced of this. He's apparently delusional. And that night there's a fire, and it's a fire in his room. And he said, like, I can smell it. It's going to have its tricks tonight. And what they think has happened is that he's in his dissociative state. It seems to be that he's set fires, because there's multiple multiple places the fire has been started. It's like, that has he done that? And Carolyn's like, could he? Maybe he did. Kind of half suggesting it. You still got to be suspicious. It's like, what's the whole thing? There is a hovering. I do have a hovering Scooby-Doo thing here. Worry about the plot, that it's going to turn out that somebody who had a hidden motivation to drive Roderick crazy, to spook him out of the house, I guess, is kind of like, is this going to be a Scooby-Doo plot? Because that would be kind of disappointing. But so he ends up getting committed, and he finds that actually Roderick finds it's like he prefers they didn't even visit him, because it's just, it wouldn't, it reminds, the doctor who's in charge of him says, like, I think it's kind of like he's obsessed with protecting his family. So, he doesn't, them and you, Dr. Faraday, coming kind of reminds him of that. And you also wonder with the Faraday thing, it's like, well, you broke your word to him, but I mean, there's that too. I don't know. So they stop visiting him, and Faraday kind of reflects. It's like, oh, it's almost like, being forgotten almost as quickly or quicker than poor old Jip was forgotten. So there's that, which is the kind of the gothic elements. And then we go into what feels like a really squalid post-war bad sex part of the book, which is not my favorite. It does kind of expose a different part of Dr. Faraday, this guy who's in his 40s, I guess, who basically kind of, became, his parents scrimped and saved for him to become a doctor, which basically pushed him out of his own class, but didn't get really accepted by the new class. And he seems kind of a very bitter guy. And he's like, and whenever he says like, oh, you're a doctor and everyone's so happy to see you, he's like, no, I'm nobody. It's the doctor bag. It's the position. It's not actually me. Nobody gives a fuck about me. Kind of. There's that. There's also just that thing of like he doesn't have he doesn't have any doesn't have any romance. No woman in his life. At the very beginning, it's like you should settle down. But and in the course of a really disastrous evening where he takes Carolyn to a dance, it's like he hasn't been with a woman for like years and years and years, and you're kind of like, what the hell's going on with him? Like, he's a really isolated character. And is he isolated because he's out of his class and he can't, there's basically no one to graze? Like, he doesn't go down, but he can't go up. So is he alone? Is he kind of this isolated, kind of strictly shell of a man, just a doctor? But yeah, he goes to this dance, and one of the guys kind of sidles up to him and says like, oh, so you're going to get in there, eh? With Carolyn, we were kind of taking bets whether you're going to go for Carolyn or you're going to go for the mother. It's like, and he's really pissed at this. He's really pissed. Like, he considers like just going back and like belting the guy. The guy who says like, it's like, knows how to use her hips and she's good on a horse. Pity about her face though. It's like, you do want to kind of punch him at that point. But he comes out of the thing and he's really snappish, really kind of mean to her. And she kind of comes on to him and it's like, oh, I don't want to go back to the hundreds. I don't want to go back. And it's like she starts kind of nuzzling him and kind of pushing her feet into his thigh. It's like, is there somewhere we could go? And so they go out to kind of a lane and, desire is kindled. He goes for it. She kind of goes for it, but then she pulls back and she doesn't want to do it. And he's like, maybe it's because he says, it's like, oh, maybe it's because I just haven't had that for so long. It takes a second, takes good beat. They have a little bit of a struggle and she actually just kicks him back. She shoves him back with her feet. Yeah, he drives her home and it's really awkward and it's just really just like, ugh, gross. And there was a girl a supposed friend, a girl she knew from before, was like, who's that? Is it your stepfather? It's like, when did you have a stepfather? But, or, and no, it's not my stepfather. Oh, it's your sugar daddy. And it's like, it's like, no, it's just, a family friend who took me to the thing. She maybe thought rather less of me then. It's like, ugh. And he's really priggish, really kind of like angry throughout all this. And he walks her back. He walks her back to the thing. And they don't see each other for several days after that. It's like, I don't know how you come back from that. But yeah, it's just like, well, we kind of left the gothic part. And we're now into what feels like really squalid, everybody's fucking miserable and poor. And like, with Roderick gone, they're basically selling up more and more of the house. They're going to be ringed by kind of a housing estate. It seems like really sad. And you get the sense that like, she probably accepted the dance thing to him so she could go meet other guys. Like, I don't know if she particularly considered him her main event. And then at the end, it was like, oh, okay, well, maybe do with you kind of thing. Maybe that's there. I don't know. He maybe thinks he's a lot more important than he actually is. Maybe he also knows he isn't that important, and that really pisses him off. Dr. Faraday, half the time, just like in the descriptions of like going to the laneway, it's like there's a part of me that thinks like, oh man, is this guy going to just snap and kill her? Which would be a twist. You expect something to happen, God damn it. Just in this section, I think it's like I'm starting to look for kind of ghastly things to happen just because it's like, oh God. It's like it's a dance that ends horribly badly in a kind of a clinch in a car where he basically tries to sexually assault her and she rebuffs him. And then it's like, oh God, just so squalid and sad and plucky. So yeah, that's where I am with the Lttl Strngr. Thankfully, it's an audio, so I can hopefully push through this, not get bogged down in this, which is what I would probably do if I was reading it. All right, the skies are opening up, and I am going to stop taping now. More videos later.